I went to explore an abandoned asylum, and I accidentally brought a ghost home. I grew up not far from Montano State Hospital in the far south suburbs of Chicago. As a kid, my dad would sometimes drive my family past it. We didn't go inside. We would just circle the property in the car, for fun. For me, it was exciting and a little scary. When I turned 16, my dad bought me my first car. A little beater, nothing fancy. Of course, the first thing I wanted to do was show this abandoned asylum to my friends. One summer day, I took my friends Alex, Brittany, and Chris to explore. We brought cameras, ready to take pictures. The plan was simple: park where other people worked to avoid suspicion, and then walk to the abandoned hall. As we approached the building, I felt sick to my stomach. A heavy sense of dread came over me. The main doors were chained shut, windows boarded up, broken glass crunched under our shoes. We made our way carefully onto the porch, each step deliberate. There was a window low enough to climb through. I looked inside. Darkness, silence, and then panic set in. I froze. My hands were trembling. My chest was tight. I couldn't do it. I couldn't go inside. Chris and Alex insisted I hand over my camera so they could take pictures. I did, barely able to speak. Brittany walked back with me to the car. We didn't talk. I lit a cigarette to calm my nerves, the smoke burning in my lungs. Soon, Chris and Alex came running back toward us, pounding the asphalt at full speed. We quickly unlocked the doors and jumped inside the car. I started it, and we drove off as fast as we could, weaving into normal traffic. I asked what had happened. Chris said he saw a man at the end of a hallway, cross-legged on the floor, crying, rocking back and forth. Alex said he thought the entity used his energy to manifest. He said that's why he felt drained and fell asleep on the way back. Chris showed me something he had picked up from the floor inside the asylum, a newspaper from 1979. I felt my stomach twist. I didn't want any haunted objects in my car. I made him toss it out the window. It took about 45 minutes to get home. We were shaken. We decided to go to Denny's for a late dinner. During the ride, Alex fell asleep in the passenger seat. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but later, I realized it was important. After dropping everyone off, I got back in my car to drive home. As I drove, I felt something pressing its knees into the back of my seat. The feeling was unmistakable. It was the same feeling you get when someone sits behind you on a bus in high school. I yelped and sat up straight, making sure my back wasn't touching the seat. I drove home faster than I ever had. The next day, I picked up my cousin, Emily, to go to the movies. As soon as I got in the car, she blurted out, "I think someone is in your back seat." I froze. I hadn't told her about the asylum trip. I asked her which seat, and of course, it was behind the driver's seat. That night, I had a dream. A man appeared to me, Caucasian, mid-30s, brown hair, partially bald, brown eyes. He wore a white cotton vest. In the dream, he was guiding me through a series of traps. He held me by the elbow and walked with me. He seemed sweet, harmless, maybe a guardian, I thought. But these dreams didn't stop. And soon, friends who hadn't been to the asylum started experiencing things in my car. Brittany heard someone whisper in her ear. Chris felt an elbow grab him. I felt the knees pressing on my back multiple times. Sometimes, it felt like someone was shaking my seat violently. I was on edge. I didn't feel like he was a guardian anymore. Fear consumed me. I prayed whenever I entered my house, hoping he wouldn't follow me inside. I was afraid to go out with friends. I was afraid to sleep. Finally, About a week and a half later, I spoke to Alex again. I asked him if he remembered what the man looked like. He said, balding, white vest, and I think his name was David. I told my parents. They suggested I tell David that he couldn't follow me anymore, to go to the light, to leave. I was ready to do anything to be free of him. So one day, Alex and I went back to the asylum. During the daytime, we just sat in the car outside. I spoke aloud, telling David, "You don't belong here with me. You need to go home." I prayed. I imagined him leaving me. I envisioned him going back to the asylum. Inside the building, doors slammed. I heard laughter, but I knew he was leaving. After that day, I never dreamt of him again, and I never felt him in my car again. Looking back, I still can't explain it. Maybe it was a spirit. Maybe it was something else. All I know is, I accidentally brought a ghost home from an abandoned asylum, and for 2 weeks, he haunted me, my dreams, and my car. Some places aren't just abandoned. Some things follow you. It all started one night with me and a couple of my friends hanging out at my place. For the sake of this story, I'll call my 2 friends, Michael and Lucas. We were drinking cheap bourbon that Michael had brought, and by around 2 a.m., we were all pretty wasted. Lucas, still a bit drunk, suddenly suggested, "Why don't we go check out the abandoned asylum?" At first I laughed, but then I thought about it, and honestly, why not? We all live in a small town. There isn't much to do here. But if you drive about 15 miles on the back roads, you eventually come across the old mental hospital. It had been abandoned since the 1960s. No one knew exactly why, but it had been sitting there for decades. Empty, silent, creepy as hell. We agreed, grabbed our backpacks, some water, 3 flashlights, and a big hunting knife for protection. Lucas, of course, brought his graffiti cans. He was obsessed with it at the time. The drive there was mostly uneventful, except that Michael almost ran over a rattlesnake lying in the middle of the road. We all jumped and swerved, hearts racing. When we finally arrived, the sight of the huge asylum made my stomach turn. Decades of abandonment had given it this dark, foreboding presence. Michael and Lucas didn't seem to notice. They were already running around the building, searching for a way in. We found a window that wasn't fully boarded, small enough to crawl through. I went first, head first. The moment I stepped inside, darkness swallowed us. My eyes slowly adjusted. I could barely see the hallway stretching in front of us. We turned on our flashlights. The beams cut through the dark, revealing long corridors. Rooms lined the walls, graffiti everywhere, bright colors, messy handwriting, eerie messages. Lucas suggested we look for a basement entrance. He wanted a free wall to spray. We wandered for about 30 minutes before finding it. The stairs were rusty, creaking with every step. The air smelled terrible. Rotten eggs, vomit, something I can't even describe. Lucas immediately ran down a hallway. Michael and I followed, keeping pace. The basement walls were strangely clean, unlike the floors above. It was as if no one had explored down here before. Everything felt wrong, silent except for our footsteps, echoing down the long hallways. Then Lucas started shaking his graffiti cans, preparing for his piece. I remember thinking, why now? The hissing of the spray mixed with that horrible smell. He painted a wall. Michael and I watched, uneasy. When he finished, the smell of aerosol almost overpowered the stench in the basement. We moved down the hallway. That's when I saw the room. The smell was worse here. Rotten, rancid, suffocating. I held the hunting knife tight in my hand. I shined my flashlight inside. And then I saw it. A circle of burned-out candles. In the center, a dark object hanging from the ceiling. I gagged, couldn't hold it in. I vomited right there. Michael, ever the brave one, stepped forward. He grabbed a metal bar from a pile of junk nearby, poked at the object. That's when we noticed the dark brown stains on the floor. A massive amount. It looked horrible. Suddenly, we heard it. Voices. Fast footsteps coming from the other hallway. Our hearts raced. Adrenaline hit like a freight train. We ran. I've never run so fast in my life. We reached the stairs, sprinting through the floor. Finally, we got to the window we had entered from. Michael vomited again. Lucas froze. He had left his backpack, full of personal belongings, in the basement. We didn't have time to go back. We sprinted to my car, got in, and drove as fast as we could out of there. On the drive back, the reality of what we had seen started to sink in. We couldn't explain it. Maybe it was some kind of satanic ritual. Maybe we had stumbled across a murder scene. We didn't know. None of us ever told anyone this story, except between ourselves. Lucas told me he hadn't slept well since that night. His backpack contained his wallet, his ID, even his home address. Every time he thought about it, he got chills. We all agreed. Some places aren't just abandoned. Some places hold on to what happened there. And sometimes they leave traces that make you question reality. I took a night shift job at an abandoned asylum, and on my third night, I realized something was still living inside. It wasn't supposed to be like that. The building had been shut down for years. Most of it was condemned, but a small section of the property had recently been bought by a private company. They weren't restoring it. Not yet. They just needed someone to watch the place overnight. Security. That someone ended up being me. The pay was decent. The job sounded easy. Just sit in a guard room, check a few hallways every couple of hours, and make sure no one broke in. Simple. At least, that's what I thought. My first night was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that presses against your ears. No wind. No insects. Nothing. Just long, empty corridors, and the faint hum of old electrical wiring. The building still had power in certain areas. Dim lights flickered overhead, barely enough to see. Paint peeled off the walls. Old hospital beds were left behind. Some rooms still had restraints attached. I remember stopping at one doorway, just staring inside. The mattress was still there, stained, sunken in the middle, like someone had been lying there for years and never got up. I told myself it was just my imagination. Second night, things started to feel different, not dangerous, just off. I kept hearing small noises, soft footsteps, distant knocking. Every time I checked, nothing was there. I blamed it on the building settling, old pipes, wind through broken windows. That's what people always say, right? By the third night, I stopped believing that. It started around 2:30 a.m. I was sitting in the security room, watching the monitors. Most of the cameras didn't work, just a few in the main corridors. That's when I saw him, a man, walking slowly down one of the hallways. I froze. He wasn't supposed to be there. No one was. He was wearing what looked like a hospital gown, thin, loose, dragging slightly as he walked. His head was tilted down, like he was staring at the floor. I grabbed my flashlight immediately. Probably just a trespasser, I told myself. but something didn't feel right. The way he moved, it was too slow, too controlled. Like he wasn't in a hurry. Like he belonged there. I left the security room and made my way toward that hallway. My footsteps echoed loudly, too loudly. The deeper I went, the colder it got. I turned the corner, and the hallway was empty, completely empty. No doors opening, no footsteps, nothing. I checked every room, no one. I stood there for a moment, trying to process what I had just seen. Then, I heard it. A voice. Soft, barely above a whisper. "Hello." It came from behind me. I turned around so fast, my flashlight almost slipped from my hand. Nothing, just the empty hallway again. I felt my chest tighten. "Security," I called out. "If someone's here, you need to leave." Silence. Then, a faint sound. Bare feet on the floor. Slow steps. Somewhere. Close. I followed the sound. It led me deeper into the building, toward a section that wasn't even on my patrol route. I hesitated. Something in my head told me to turn back, but I didn't. I kept going. The hallway narrowed. Lights flickered overhead. At the very end, there was a door, slightly open. I knew that's where the sound was coming from. I pushed the door open slowly. The room inside was different, cleaner, not like the rest of the building. There was a chair in the center, and sitting in that chair was the man, the same man I saw on the cameras. He was facing away from me, completely still. I couldn't hear him breathing, couldn't see him move. "Hey," I said carefully. No response. I stepped closer. Each step felt heavier than the last. "Sir, you're not supposed to be here." Still nothing. I reached out and placed my hand on his shoulder. Cold. Not just cold, ice cold. The second I touched him, he spoke. "I've been waiting." His voice was wrong, too calm, too empty. I stumbled back. "What?" Slowly, he stood up and turned around. His eyes, they didn't look right. Too dark, too hollow, like there was nothing behind them. "You're late," he said. My heart was pounding now. I don't know what you mean," I replied. He tilted his head slightly. "They always come back," he whispered. Then, he smiled. And I swear, his mouth stretched wider than it should have. I turned and ran. I didn't care anymore. I ran through the hallway, past rooms, past broken equipment, back toward the security office. Behind me, I heard footsteps, fast, getting closer, bare feet slapping against the floor. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I reached the office, slammed the door shut, and locked it. The footsteps stopped, right outside. Silence. Then, a soft knock. 3 times. I held my breath. Another knock. Then, his voice. "You forgot to check me out." I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't breathe. After a few seconds, it stopped. The rest of the night, nothing happened. No footsteps, no voices, just silence again. When my shift ended, I left immediately. I didn't even wait for my replacement. Later that day, I contacted the company and told them I was quitting. They didn't argue, didn't even ask why. That part still bothers me. A few days later, I went online and searched for records about the asylum. That's when I found it. An old report from the 1970s about a patient, a man who believed he was still checked into the hospital long after it had been shut down. He would sit in empty rooms, waiting for staff to come discharge him. He refused to leave, even when they tried to force him out. One night, he disappeared. No one ever found him, but staff reported hearing knocking and a voice asking to be checked out. I never went back to that place.